Hey, you guys, welcome. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another episode of this Piscean Reports. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully, you're having a beautiful afternoon. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Man, so for those of you who have, a team in the game, today's game, I hope you win. I don't have a dog in this fight, so however it goes is just however it goes. But if you're Denver, good luck. And if you're the Patriots, good luck. Whatever. May the best team win. So for those of you new to my channel, welcome aboard. For those of you who are returning, welcome back, you guys. As always, welcome back. Okay, so I have been thinking about this for a few days, and I debated on whether or not I wanted to say anything, because in my spirituality, in my beliefs, the things that I read, those who are, spiritual, I don't want to say leaders, but it just said that, if you're, as far as spirituality goes, for me, one of the things I was told is that you should not have an opinion on anything that is, I guess, a political or that type of thing. But at the same time, I just wanted to offer up an option, a thought, because once again, when I'm speaking on this, I am thinking once again about what I am always talking about, which is that bigger picture, the need to stop thinking so tribal, that tribal mentality, and kind of start seeing things from a bigger perspective. You know what I mean? It's trying to see the bigger picture. And in this message, I'm thinking bigger picture, that maybe we need to just for a second, think a little bigger on this particular subject. Okay. Now, I want to talk about ICE. A lot of people, and here's the thing, the popular opinion in the popular thing I was looking at, and I have quite literally have been in, as far as that whole thing is concerned, I've been very hands off. I try not to have any thoughts one way or the other about it, but at the same time, I saw Bad Bunny, who is going to be playing in the Super Bowl halftime today. I saw him on a snippet at the Grammys, and the first thing he said was "Ice Out," and everybody started clapping and standing up and the whole nine. And I was thinking about this morning. I was laying there thinking, I said, I have a perspective on that. And I want to share it with you guys. And maybe you guys can kind of, sort of, think bigger picture. Okay. So this is my thoughts on that. Let's say you have a beautiful house, right? Let's say you got a mansion, and I'm looking over at your mansion and I'm going, boy, you guys are living pretty good over there. That looks like a pretty nice situation. That looks like a pretty decent setup, and where I'm at, it sucks. And quite literally, quite literally, right? And I'm looking over at your beautiful home and I say, you know what? I think I'd like to go there. And so one day when you're not looking, you guys go, say you and your family, you pack up and you go on vacation. And when you guys are not looking, I pack my ish and I go and I just go and live in your house. I move into your house, right? And you come back and you see me there. And you're a little put off by that, but you don't really, initially you don't say anything, right? And it got to the point where I would start to show up at your dinner table. When you guys are having dinner, I'm eating dinner right with you. I'm enjoying your delicious food, and I'm enjoying your delicious breakfast, and I'm enjoying your pool, and I'm enjoying your tennis court, and I'm not paying a dime, and I'm not contributing to your light bill. I'm not contributing to your gas bill. I'm not contributing to the upkeep of the pool, of the maintenance of the yard. I'm just enjoying all that is in your house. And you say, listen, we need you to get a job. Y'all try to, you're a bit put off by that. I'm not contributing in any way. And you come to me, you say, I need you to get a job. And I say, okay, I go get a job. But I'm being paid under the table. So I'm not paying any taxes. You guys are. You are paying hard taxes to live like you're living. And I'm not paying a dime. I'm getting paid under the table. I found a job where I'm getting paid under the table. And on top of everything else, I'm still not contributing. You said, didn't we tell you get a job? And I said, yeah, I got a job. And you said, okay, well, can you start paying? And I said, well, I'd like to, but I got to send the bulk of my money that I'm making. I got to send that home to my family. I got to go send that back to my kids. They need that money. And they go, well, what about the other half of the money? Well, I got to save up because I need to get a house. I need to get a better apartment. I want to live better. I need to save my money. So once again, even though I have a job, number one, I'm not paying no taxes. I'm not contributing. I'm not contributing in any way to your way of life, right? I'm just enjoying all of the benefits of being in your home, but I'm not paying. And you would feel some type of way, And so you get somebody and you've got a group over here and they say, listen, our sole purpose is to help you, people like you, take people like me up out of your situation. Okay, it's not that you don't like me. That didn't have anything to do with it. 9 times out of 10, you guys probably thought I was a pretty decent person. I'm a good person overall. But at the same time, I'm not contributing. Not for real, for real. And so you go to them and they say, okay, we can get them out. Okay, that's the bigger picture. That is how I think we need to kind of take a step back and kind of really look at things. Like, really look at it. Our government is doing its best to stay afloat. And the government can't stay afloat if we got all these people who are coming into the country. They're absolutely benefiting off of everything we have to offer. But most of these people, a lot of people, and I'm not picking out any particular race. Let's take race completely out of it because you got Africans who come over here and there's Latino who come over here and there's Cubans who come over here. There's, there's all manner of people who come over here who want to benefit off of this country. But, we can't. I'm not really supposed to be here this long, but I was able to, I found somebody who would say, you know what, I'm really not trying to do the whole tax thing. So let me just give you some money. We'll just keep this between us. And you go, and they go, okay, that's cool. And they're able to benefit. They're able to save money. They're able to send money home. They're able to have all of the benefits of living in this country, but they don't have the responsibilities that we have, And look at it this way. Let's say there's that as well. Let's say you're Latino and you did all the right things. You did everything that you were supposed to do to get into this country. You went through all the right channels. And then you got somebody over here who just showed up one day and they're getting all the benefits and this and the other thing. You jumped through a lot of hoops to get into this country, to benefit in this country, to assist this country, to help this country. Because those taxes, you're paying taxes, right? And those taxes is what enables us to enjoy the things that we do. Those taxes go to help our infrastructure. We've got our school system that is in need of help. There are parents who are bitching and moaning all the time about how they've got to come out of their pocket and provide all these things. And a lot of those people, I will tell you what, when I was a child and I went to grade school, grade school, those things, when we started the school year, those things were automatically given to us. We were automatically issued a packet of of crayons and a pack of pencils and a sharpener and a paper. Like, we got that. You guys don't have that benefit. Fast forward to today. Our school systems can't handle that. We can't do that anymore. So we need you guys to do it. And you bitching about it and you mad about it. But think about that. If we had the taxes that we were supposed to get, the people who are legitimately paying, maybe they can say, okay, we can afford to do these things now. We can afford to make sure everybody's got computers, and we can make sure that everybody has this, that, and the third. And we can make sure that we improve our infrastructure because now we've got the funds to do what needs to be done. Do you see what I mean? There's a bigger picture that's at stake here. You know? It's like, if we want our country to run, we need the money, and we need the money to come from somewhere. And imagine if half the country was not paying taxes and the other half is, and we start going under because we can't afford this and we can't afford that, and the country starts falling apart, and people come and visit and say, boy, that country's trash. And it's not that it's trash because of us, it's that there's the other half of us is not paying their fair share. They're not doing their part, you know? That's why, that's why I talk about that bigger picture. Sometimes we need to kind of take a step back and say, well, it's not that we don't want you here. We need you to come in the right way. You know, I thought about Scarface this morning and his mother. There comes that point in the movie. Everybody who's seen Scarface, there comes that time when he's ready to go and visit his mother in America. And she lets him in, and she's got complete and utter disdain for him. She don't want him here, and she's pissed that he's even showing up, and she just knows he's in here illegally, and he's probably doing something wrong, and he's not paying his fair share, and she did everything the right way to come in and make sure everything's right for her and her daughter, and he just shows up, and he's dressed all fancy, and he's trying to throw money in her face, and she was pissed. And at that one point when she says there's Cubans like you that give a bad name to our people who come here and work hard, it's Cubans like you that what did she say? There's Cubans like you who are giving a bad name to our people, And I get that. As a child, when I first saw it back in the day, I thought she was going in so hard on him. I was like, wow, Mom, that's really unfair. That's your son, because even her daughter says, Mama, that is your son. And she went off, and I get that. As an adult, I can now look at that and say, I get that. I get that. Because, and she shares the same opinion that most Americans are at this time. It's not that they don't want you here. It's just we need you to come in and do it the right way because we need the tax money. We need those things. We need you to contribute, to the country. You enjoy all of the benefits of living here, but you're not contributing in that way that's needed most, And just look at it. If they take away those who didn't come in the right way, look at all those jobs that are now available for those who did come in the right way and who did contribute, who are doing right thing. They paying their taxes and they have jobs, legitimate jobs, and the whole nine. And they're taking their money and they're contributing it into the economy to help grow the economy so that things can be taken care of and be done. That's why I think we're going a little hard on these people. I look at it like this. They've got a very difficult job, It's not easy. Having to tell somebody, hey, don't take this wrong way. Don't take it personal, dude. But, we've got a country to look at. You got to go. You're more than welcome to come back, but come back the right way. It's a hard job. And policing in general is a very difficult job. because sometimes people don't want to cooperate. If someone is in the wrong, they don't necessarily want to say, okay, you're right, and just hand over their hands and okay, let's go. You're right, I'm wrong, and let's go. Some people want to make it hard. Some people want to fight you. They want to escape. They want to pull. Some people, there's weapons involved and things happen, and I get that. It's ugly. They got a very ugly job, and it's a very difficult job. But at the same time, I can take that step back and see the bigger picture. That there's a bigger picture at stake here. You not thinking. You guys are not thinking. You're in the tribal mentality, the smaller mindset of, boy, you guys are mean, and look what you do to those people, and ice out and this and that thing. And I'm like, well, hold up now. Hold up. Would you still feel that way if these people just woke up one day and they just moved into your house and they was eating your food and they was living their best life up in your house? Would you still feel the same way? That's what I'm, bigger picture. Bigger picture. Sometimes we need to kind of take a step back and say, you know what? That's true. Look at all those jobs that are now available, for those who did come in the right way, who did come in with the proper paperwork, and who can absolutely do the same thing that one over there could have did, but they went the right way. They're going to be the ones who pay the taxes, because there's a lot of people gone, there are people now who can now qualify for some of the governmental assistance that these people were taking advantage of. I don't have anything against anybody. I don't. But I want to say that sometimes we kind of need to take a step back and look at that bigger picture. Like really, really look at that. Certainly sympathize. I'm so sorry you guys were sorry, but if there's any way y'all can come back legally, we are so happy to have you. We'll love to have you come and pay taxes so that we can, have a better life in this country. It's not fair to those who are doing the right thing. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I'm not against anybody, but I absolutely get that there is a bigger picture at stake. Our country is at stake. Our upkeep is at stake. We need those taxes. We need these things taken care of, we need to have the funds available so that people can get SNAP, or if they can get, where the Section 8 and things like that. But we don't have the taxes. And so they're like, listen, we got to start cutting people, and everybody's mad. But just imagine if everybody was paying their fair share. And then for those who say, well, I'm in a hole here, and they say, okay, well, we can let go, we can lighten up on the restrictions, and we can now afford to help more people. That's the thought. That's what I wanted to just kind of put out there. This is why I try to encourage people to think bigger picture. And not so much tribally, the tribal mindset of, us against them. They have a very difficult job that they have to do. They don't want to do it, but you got to, for the betterment of the country. You sometimes just got to do what needs to be done. All right, that is that message that I have for you guys. Just a little food for thought, Somebody's moving up in your house and they're living rent free and they're enjoying all the pleasures of living in your home, and they're not paying a dime to keep it up, to keep it going, to take care of it. Not a dime. But they're enjoying all of the benefits of being here. Being in your home. They're eating your food, and they're, partying and swimming in your pool and playing in your tennis, on your tennis court, and showering in your house, and there's no gas, no electric, no nothing's being paid. And when you come to them and say, listen, we need you to kind of do something, get a job, and they go, okay, we got a job, but it's under the table, and we're not paying any taxes, and we're not, but you said get a job, and I did that, and they're like, okay, well, can you give us some money? Can't do that. I got to take care of that one at home, back home. They need that money. Okay, well, can you give us something of what you're getting? Not really. I'm saving up that money because I'm trying to get a house, and I'm trying to get a car, and I'm trying to can't do it. So, well, how soon do you think you'll be before you can do that? Hard to say. They sitting up here eating a bowl of cereal, talking about, hard to say. But hey, I'll get to you when I can. That's not cool. That's not cool. So look at it that way. All right. Maybe you kind of can say, okay, I get it now. I see it. And maybe I need to kind of take a step back, and maybe we need not to be quite so hard on these people. They got a job to do. It ain't a pretty one, but it's a job, and there's a bigger picture at stake. I'm tired of buying all the supplies for my kid to go to school. I'm tired of paying for this, and I'm paying all these taxes, and yet my roads still look like ish, or the neighborhood still looks like that. Well, you might be paying yours, but the rest of them aren't. So that's my message. I can't say I hope you like it, because I know a lot of people are probably going to look at it and say that it's rage bait or some mess like that. And it's not. It's just, I keep telling you guys about that bigger picture. We're not thinking bigger picture. It's tribal mindset. Let go of tribal mindset. Think bigger picture. Okay? All right, I'm going to go. You guys have a great rest of your day. Go whoever. Good luck, you guys. Good luck. I don't know if I'm going to watch the game or not, because like I said, I don't have a dog in this race, but we'll see. You guys have a great rest of your day, okay? I will see you next time on the next video. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.